is I usually do things in very high contrast, expecting to be in a room where the lighting will be competing against the projector. But since we were doing this over YouTube, you know, the resolution's really good. I kind of wish that I did some live coding instead of just a slide presentation, because without having an audience in front of me to visually respond to with any like weird blank stares, I kind of went through my presentation in like 20 minutes.
Oh, I noticed that your presentation recorded a little shorter than everyone else's.
A lot shorter.
One cool tidbit is Joe was the very first person to submit for our very first WordCamp. So he's special to me also.
Yeah, I jumped on that, right. I mean, when I found out that you were organizing a WordCamp in Santa Clarita, I was really excited for you. So I jumped on that as soon as possible. Awesome. It was a lot of fun.
And then the other thing we try to do, and I think one of the reasons why I wanted to do WordCamp Santa Clarita was that there was nothing north of Los Angeles in terms of WordCamps. And so all of the folks that are on this line now, like Alicia represents Santa Barbara, which is still north of LA, but there's so many communities that want to do WordPress. So I know, Alicia, you were involved in a meetup, I mean, a WordCamp that it only went one time.
Oh,
right?
yeah, that was, you can still read about it somewhere. Maybe I'll post it in the comments. Someone wrote a blog post about it. It was one and only WordCamp Ventura County. And oh my gosh, the guy who actually was a organizer, he's a code wrangler for WordPress at Automatic. Mm-hmm. And so it was at something called Green Arts People, which is kind of like one of those hippy dippy arts collaboratives. It had all these comfy chairs. It had a mascot cat roaming around. And so it was purely technical in a hippy dippy like place. It was so unusual. And it was only one day only. And we had a food truck even show up. And it's like a really weird place in Ventura. It's like stuck in like next to an apartment building and stuff. And it was awesome.
And so, yeah. And you've been doing your meetups virtually. You meet quite often. How often do you meet up? Why don't you plug your meetup?
So yeah, this will help people too. This will help Jennifer. You're closer to LA though, and you get more people. But so I actually took this meetup on. It was about to die. It was something that was in Ventura, and I saw the email 5 days before it was going to just be relinquished to the others because no one was taking it. So I pulled it up to Santa Barbara because there's nothing. There's literally no meetup between Santa Barbara and maybe Monterey or something. There's nothing. So I made it to Tri-County, San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara, and Ventura County. Someone actually drives down from Arroyo Grande, I believe, comes out to the meetup. It's like an hour, 2 hours.
Oh, that's amazing.
So for the first year, it was like one person or something, but I didn't give up. Maybe like in the Christmas break, I stopped. I did kind of put the whip down for like, if you're RSVPing, please show up. So I would have to go to a place, wait. And so then I just kept at it. You just keep showing up. And so I had it once a month. And then you kind of I kind of measured out how it was going. Once a month was good. And then attendance got good, and I did it twice. Then attendance fell off, and I went back to one. And then it got back, and I just calibrate it. And now it's every second and fourth Wednesday. And now, to be honest, since it's online, it actually gets more people. And I'm thinking of, even after things open up, to have one of the sessions be online and one of them be in a space, because then people are left out who like are in other countries. How are they going to come when it's, I have a feeling this might stick after COVID.
Oh, I agree.
Online.
You know, we tried to, when I first started, I wanted to try to Facebook Live it at the same time, but this format seems like it's a little easier for everybody to jump on and collaborate. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And you can actually do rooms if you want to work and help somebody. And when you're in the group, I remember trying to help someone, and one guy was really passionate about helping another guy, and I had a couple of times go, just keep it like inside voice, you know, because I couldn't like pay attention to the other person. So now with Zoom rooms, you can actually take someone into another room and just work on together on something.
And then I know, William, you're over in Florida. Can you hear me?
Yes.
And
Can y'all hear me?
This was an awesome get for me. I sort of I was at WordCamp US a couple years ago, and William was presenting, and I sort of saw him from afar, and I was like, that guy's really interesting. I need to have him speak at our camp. And so I contacted him on social media. I was like, I don't want to be a stalker or anything, but it would be great to have you here. And he came out and he zoomed in from Florida. So tell me about your thoughts on coming out here and being part of WordCamp Santa Clarita. And thanks again for doing it.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. It was a wonderful experience. I mean, when we first started talking, texting back and forth and, tweets and stuff, I was like, okay, we're going to, Aida's my fiance. So I was telling Aida, it's like, yeah, we're going to go to Santa Clarita. And we were looking on the map and seeing where it is and what it was close to and the airports. And we were just so excited and honored to be like, hey, we're going to go across country. And then like the other gentleman was saying, then everything, happened. But we were like, okay, they would do something special. And then y'all made the announcement of having it online. That was really exciting too.
Yeah, and it was good because one of the things that we had to deal with was some speakers didn't want to do it online, but we had too many because we had we limited it. We took it from 2 days to 1, but everybody wanted to give, which was so awesome. It was an incredible energy. So it was so great to have you and Aida there.
Oh yes, and the interesting thing too was like when we had the announcement about not going back to school, because I teach elementary PE and health, and we started our online program, and I was like, oh, this would be a great opportunity to practice online with students and then be able to speak online at a WordCamp, which I'd never done. It was like, okay, got to pace yourself, getting everything ready. So it was a great experience.
What's your home camp and what's your meetup? Why don't you tell us a little about your area?
Our home camp is here in Jacksonville, Florida, WP Jacks. And Aida and I, we managed our kids meetup. So when the adults are meeting, we meet up with the kids. So it's WP Jacks Kids. And we have a great time with them. We haven't done anything online with them yet. So we're thinking, well, maybe we'll just wait a little bit because they're so inundated with doing stuff with school. We don't want to bombard them with stuff, but it's just a great feeling to go online and do the meetups and share ideas. And it's phenomenal, when you're talking to everybody like y'all are, how wonderful this community is. And everybody's just connected and enjoying themselves and sharing. So it's just really awesome.
And you mentioned, I think when we were going back and forth, you did WordCamp Costa Rica. Did you see Trey's team down there? And did you two see each other?
Yeah, that was really fun. Tracy, Nathan, there were 2 or 3 others. I think altogether there were 8 American speakers. So, they embraced us and welcomed us, helped us out with anything we needed. And, at first, a lot of people were thinking, well, how are they going to receive us speaking in English? But majority of the citizens, they do speak English, and obviously Spanish too, but, they had fun with us speaking English because then as we were talking to them, we had to make sure we clarified English words, and they were learning from us as we were learning from them. And Aida, she's Puerto Rican, so even though at times she spoke in Spanish, it's funny that some Spanish words that they used, she didn't know, and some that she used, they didn't know. So it was really good learning experience.
Wow, that's incredible.
Oh, yeah.
So
if y'all ever get a chance to go to Costa Rica, go down there. And the funny thing is, not to cut you off, the funny thing that I learned that the east coast of the east coast of Costa Rica is the party side. The west coast is the relaxed, laid-back side. So,
that's interesting. My wife, when she saw Costa Rica, she's already circled it on the map.
Okay.
So I may be on the hook for it. So now I want to open it up to the floor to folks that attended, not as a speaker or any other role. Like Richard, did you attend, or were you on at Santa Clarita Online, or did you have an opportunity to join us?
Yeah, I was definitely on there.
So I want to hear what you thought about it from an attendee's point of view.
It was good, and I kind of prefer the Zoom version because I can jump around or was it on Zoom? But
it was
online, you're able to jump around to the different tracks. So you know, I really liked it.
Oh, I know a few of the speakers felt like some of the questions that were running in the chat, they didn't get a chance to answer. Did you have any questions or any topics that you wanted to revisit? Or, because I know one of the announcements I wanted to make today is that I posted all the videos on our YouTube channel. So if you want to go there, you could take a look at all the presentations. And again, for me, this was sort of a blockbuster, like an all-star game of speakers. So I already watched them once. I'm going to go back and watch some a second time. So,
Yeah.
so what did you have any questions left over, or what did you think about?
No, it was all good. I'm just really getting active in WordPress since the beginning of the year. So I'm getting a lot out of everything. So
what do you want to learn in WordPress? What can we do as a meetup?
Right now, I think my priority is security. Looking at logs and notifications from WordFence and everything. It's just scary what's going on. So security is my priority right now.
Awesome. Jennifer, what about you? What did you think? I know this is your second year, yeah, at WordCamp. Did one in person and one online. What was the difference, and what did you think?
Let's see. Like, it was kind of like, I like being able to run around in sweatpants, and just like sit there and just be eating and taking notes. I think, like, because I'm fairly new to the tech side, so then it's like kind of amazing, like the WP query, I think, was it Joe? Did you do that one? Or
yeah, Joe did that one.
Yeah, that was me. Yeah,
I had no idea.
That's exactly how I learned WP query. Someone mentioned it at probably WordCamp LA or Orange County, and I'm like, wait, what are you talking about? It just blew my mind.
Yeah, and then so it's like, I need to go. I mean, like, it's kind of like I have to schedule it for down the road, but in terms of digging in, but it was like, whoa, I had no idea that was possible, and it's always that constant thing, and I missed Phil, so then I'm super excited to, because part of it is I do make changes on a live website, and like, what if I break something, so I like, there's a lot to learn still, and I'm really grateful there's a vibrant community that's been at this for 20 plus years, and I'm just like, oh, cool,
What about the day specifically? Were there any questions that you didn't get to ask that you want to ask today, or what can we do next year for you in your learning journey?
I have no idea. I mean, I think it's just like, because these are just like, in half an hour, all you can do is really introduce, or like half an hour to 45 minutes. It's like, this is a possibility. This, like, in terms of, I think it would be really amazing to have learning paths beyond, because there's a lot of big technical issues that are introduced, and in terms of, like, it's like, wow, but then in terms of like going in there and doing the muscle work of learning it, like, if there's more ways to learn or to engage on that as we dig in on that topic. That's my thought. But I think in terms of just being introduced to the possibilities, it's incredible. That's WordCamp's incredible for that.
Cool. And then Bill, she mentioned you. What were your thoughts, and how did it go for you? Because yours is more of a demo style presentation, yeah?
You're muted, I think.
Unmute.
Okay, go ahead, Bill.
He's muted.
Oh, you're still muted.
How do you work this technology?
Oh.
We have the technology. This is frightening.
I think I unmuted you and you muted yourself at the same time.
Did I mute myself? Oh no, I muted myself. Okay. It was totally weird and totally fun. I'm more used. I've done a bunch of things in my life. Everything from working in electronics and aerospace, and working night shift at the mannequin factory. And yes, they do move. And teaching high school, and I'm used to talking to a lot of people, and some of them react. And like when I was working in aerospace, and some really don't, like when I was working night shift at the mannequin factory or teaching high school, they really don't react. So this was kind of a new experience, having an audience there and knowing that they were reacting and not knowing how they were reacting. So it was kind of weird, I must say. It was kind of like, kind of like family night in a way. It's like, hi, I'm talking about all the things that are important to me, and you just get this blank stare. Yeah, it was good.
And then one thing we tried to do differently was to incorporate our sponsors at the beginning. And it was great, to have the sponsors say a few words. Anna, how did the day go in terms of your sponsor room, or what could we do better in terms of an online?
Let me back up one step.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Bill.
Yeah, I gotta say that Sarah was terrific because, you know, as my, I don't know, adjunct, I guess, I was really able to watch her reactions. So that helped me a lot, even though she's definitely a more advanced programmer than many of the people in the audience. So that was helpful. I flaked out on the sponsor areas. I was just too beat. Sorry.
Oh no, I was tossing it over to Anna for her thoughts.
Hi, Anna. Sorry. I'll mute.
He admitted something he didn't have to admit.
Two of the things
I can admit it.
Two of the things I thought were really great was the winner circle speaker area, where all the speakers congregated at 1 o'clock and at 5 o'clock. Thanks, Sumner. And then I thought the sponsor involvement was good. So Anna, from your standpoint, how did you think the day went? How could we do better? And how can sponsors be more involved in the WordCamp experience? Because I think a lot of folks, when they go to the in-person event, the hallway track is probably the highlight because you grab all your swag, you get to interact. How was it different for Green Geeks?
Well, it's very different because, you know, you're not physically in a room, so people don't pass by. They have to really want to come say hi to you or to click on your Zoom link. So it's completely different experience than, you know, the offline camp. But Santa Clarita was much better. I mean, it was better. We had more traffic. People came to say hi.
Because you did San Antonio as well as.
Yeah, San Antonio was a little bit more difficult, but I think it was the first one. I think that, like I told you, I think in private, or maybe when you came to visit, I think people are still getting used to this concept of having to click on different links because other sponsors have a different link. And I think the more camps we have, the more people will come, will understand it's part of the camp. The experience of the camping is going to the speakers, but also to go say hi to the sponsors. And it becomes a very social thing. We actually kept our Zoom open until late because some people wanted to come in and just chat. So it became also kind of like an after party.
Yeah, I think that was one of the comments was if there was a way to keep that, you know, there was a place that was going on all day where everybody could just hang out.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. And I know for us, we wanted, Sumner was trying to get me to do it for the entire day, but we didn't have enough staff to cover that speaker's room. But that's one thing I passed on to the US team, is that they should really have an area where everybody can connect throughout the entirety of the camp.
I also feel that during some of the presentations, there could be something fading in the bottom left corner or something of the sponsors, because they should have promotion while we're talking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you know because they're sponsored. And that way, and then not like the usual thing, but something really cool. Maybe they're offering a piece of information that's related to the demo that's done. Maybe they'll combine what all the speakers are doing, and then they can kind of incorporate their marketing into that speaking session instead of just come check us out. So more like, oh, you're worried about security. I see you're here. So we've got some, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. And that was one common comment was interactivity. You know, I know Glenn really wanted more interactivity during his presentation. And I think throughout the entire thing, if people can, you know, and I think Richard mentioned it earlier, if people can pop in and out and feel connected, that would be a really big asset for all WordCamp.
Oh, and the other thing too, while my face was on waiting for me to come on, that would have been a perfect time to fade in with some sponsors too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I was thinking because
that was running. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking because my talk ended so early that would have been a good opportunity for one of the sponsors to take over the room and maybe do a pre-planned presentation or something in that ballpark. Because I mean, even though it was just YouTube facing for the attendees, there was like in my room, there was 30 minutes of dead air, basically, until the next talk.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And I know
Yeah,
when we were talking earlier about different options to get the sponsors involved, if we were going to be on Crowdcast, I think we were going to pull the sponsors in after the presentation was over to sort of join into the conversation. So, but, you know, we had a different platform, but I think as they decide on a common platform for all the WordCamps, that should be a consideration. Most definitely.
Yeah, demo. They should have their own 5 or 10-minute presentation just scheduled in too. It's as a demo. So that that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Oh, just jump in, Bill. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's one more comment that I just want to make. I mean, I thought it was really an excellent event, all across the board. And so, Joe, your efforts paid off. It was awesome. And everybody else's, so that's cool. But one thing that I kind of missed was the happiness bar.
Mm.
You know, and the reason I kind of missed that was because, you know, just hanging around the happiness bar in other WordCamps, people would come by with interesting problems. Sometimes they were coding problems, sometimes they were marketing problems, sometimes they were business structure problems, and various people, we could all kind of collaborate and help them. And I think that was a great thing that happened at meetups. And I wonder if there's an opportunity for having something like that within the online event world, not necessarily in a WordCamp, but in just as an online thing.
Yeah, I know for us we had a 19-day cycle to turn it around.
That was amazing.
So I'm eager to see what Kent does, which is coming up, and what Denver does in terms of having a happiness bar, or see how this thing fleshes out. I wanted to open it up to any other attendees before I turned it over to the organizers for their thoughts. Jason, thanks for speaking at our first year. You were approved as a speaker this year. What did you think this year, being a bystander as opposed to being a speaker?
I really liked it. I enjoyed Corey Ashton, I think it was. I really enjoyed her talk, and I also enjoyed I forgot the one on automation. That was a very nice talk.
Yeah.
For me, right now, as far as the technical side, I think I'm doing pretty good on that, but I need a little bit more help on marketing and improving my business. So that's kind of like what I'm interested in learning more about. So I'm glad that you had different tracks and different people that had different ideas. It was really, really good. Really enjoyed, especially Corey and the automation one. Those were my favorites.
All right, so Sean, why don't you tell? I know as a two-time organizer, tell me what you thought about the day and how we can improve moving forward.
I'll turn the camera back on here. How can we improve during the daytime? Or
no, just in general, just your thoughts on the day, and then what do you think about year 3?
Yeah, well, I thought we really did great with what we had, and credit to you and to Sumner especially for wrangling all those speakers, because just to remind everybody, we were planning a physical in-person event, and it ended up switching to an online event, so that was quite a shuffle there. But I would say the technology worked out pretty well, considering that it was, you know, a last-minute implementation. The YouTube Live with the chat worked well. The closed captioning worked well. The Zoom rooms that Joe, you set up worked really well. But I do think in the future there's going to be some better options for us. I know Automatic is looking. I run a couple of meetups as well, and Automatic is definitely looking to up that game because, you know, we have a new normal to be getting ready for here. So I loved having a few rooms to be able to switch around. That was really convenient. So I think, yeah, that's about it. I do want to make a quick announcement that Monday night, the WooCommerce meetup group is doing a talk on Sensei learning system, Classroom in a Box. It's free. It's an Automatic owned plugin, typically used with WooCommerce. So invitation to anybody who's interested in learning about that.
And that's on the Meetup page. And
you know, I'll stick a link in the chat, but yes, it's the Meetup for WooCommerce LA. And then I also co-run the West Valley chapter in Woodland Hills. That's the WordPress Meetup in the West Valley.
Awesome. And it's a great meetup. Is it at a new location, or is it still at the same I mean, it was at, never mind, since it's virtual.
Yeah, well, so, yeah, we will be back to Total Wine when things are back to normal. And I'm pitching that we do some type of a hybrid model for those who don't or can't travel. That would be pretty cool to actually have both, because you already have the screen up in front of everybody. You just need a camera to bring people who are physically there and people who are at home all together. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I think it opened up, the COVID opened up a whole bunch of different ways to think about running your meetup. So this is pretty exciting.
Well, now I see a really, really serious problem though. Serious problem. Every time somebody tells me they have a meetup, I can go to that. And now I'm like, I've got too much and I got to work. And then he tells me it's not going to be online. So I'm like totally disappointed, because I really want to go to that meetup with the WooCommerce and whatever. And so I'm in Santa Barbara.
Well, so this one that we're doing Monday night is on Google Meet. So yeah, it's obviously virtual. We can't do anything in person right now. But in the future, it's probably going to be Zoom, because I understand Automatic's going to be potentially, it's not announced yet, but we're probably going to be using Zoom for a lot of the meetups. But this current one Monday night will be through Google Meet, which we've used before. Worked pretty well.
Awesome. And again, that's another meetup up in this area for folks that are north of Los Angeles.
Okay, so I'm gonna go in there.
And Richard, thank you for sharing the link. Richard shared the link to your meetup, John. So thanks again. And by the way, if you check in the chat, there's been a lot of links and things being shared there. So I'm going to turn it over to Sumner. Sumner, what did you think of your experience? This was a first-time organizer experience for you after being a speaker in year one.
It was a wonderful learning experience, and it was just a whole lot of fun too, because initially to be able to plan it for something physical and then shifting gears in the middle, it's like, wow, I get to learn both sides. First, I get to learn, hey, if we do this next year and it's going to be a live event again at the facility, got some training on how to do that, and now the virtual. And it was the first virtual planning I had done with a large event, and I've done a couple since. And this morning, I'm going to be a speaker in a couple weeks at another event, and they were asking questions about what's the best way to do this, and anybody done it previously, and what are your suggestions? And I told them what we had accomplished for WordCamp, and they were very impressed, and said that, you know, what we did was remarkable. To be able to corral that many speakers in that short amount of time and work with Blaze and get them YouTube live streaming and get that many participants, and they just were all in awe that we pulled it off the way we did. So I guess I should sit down and be in awe also. I'm still a little bit excited, so I haven't got to the awe part, but it was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed the speakers that I got to listen to and the ones I got to introduce, that I got to meet them. And I'm also really looking forward to when they show up live on WordPress TV, so I can watch the rest of them, which is a really cool part.
Yeah, I submitted them this morning, so hopefully they'll be up pretty soon. Alicia, did you have to, I know Joe mentioned that when he was putting together his slides, he would have done it differently because of the way it projected. Do you feel like you would have done something differently, or you could have done something differently?
Every single time I prepare for a WordPress camp, this is the one thing that I could do differently. Start my slides, getting them together before the night before. That's it. Oh my God, that's it. Again? I'm like, I think actually I sent them a little earlier, or sent a little sample of what I was doing, so that you would know. But yeah, no, otherwise, no, it was fine for me.
Okay, and then you shared a playlist. Would you mind sharing your playlist from your presentation?
Yeah.
For those that didn't see it, tell them what what your presentation was about, because it was connected to music as well.
I actually have a good story, a very good story about it. So I did a presentation on quickly putting a little page together with the block editor, and I called it the Gutenberg Block Party, and it was hip hop themed. So I had like hip hop like kind of letters and everything, and I put together a playlist that you could play in the background if you were watching. And it turned out it wasn't public, but anyway, it's out there now. And so then I had a lot of people watching it, and one woman, I think her name's Dina something or whatever, and she's in Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. She has a meetup there, and she actually stole my idea. She can have it, but she has like a.
Did she take your slides and not give you credit?
He's calling it a block party, but they meet 7:30 in the morning, 5:30 my time. But they meet in the morning for half an hour to just discuss the blocks, and she just thought it was really fun, and she actually just played the playlist in the background. So I'll find it if you're on Spotify. I'll put the link here.
Awesome.
Or wherever I shared it with her. I'll have to get it out the LinkedIn. There was 2 links and one didn't show up. And
okay, awesome.
Yeah, I'll put it in the comments of the.
Okay. Oh, the meetup. Awesome.
Here's the thing. Is anyone else able to actually copy the links that are in the chat? Because I keep trying to do it.
No.
Now they got us good.
Okay. So what I'll do is I'll try to export the transcript, and then I'll make it available. I'll send it around in a notice afterwards.
All right.
And then what about you, William? Was it different? I know you do a lot with teens and with a lot of community type work. Did this presentation pose any different challenges for you, or was it basically the same old, same old?
It was different because I wanted, not being able to see the audience, I wanted to keep the energy high. So I had to like use my coach's voice and my extra energy to, to keep those that were watching, excited and involved and engaged. And just going through the slides, didn't want to put like too much information in there, but just wanted to keep it exciting and ongoing, and give enough information with people. And I appreciate your question that did want to ask a question, going through. Because, it's a little bit different being a teacher and a blogger as opposed to a developer or a graphic designer. So I look at things a little bit differently. Like I was thinking about like for next year, if you could, have somebody that would serve as the organizer, do a kids camp, and Aida and I could fly out there and we'll do some student STEAM stuff.
Well, you know what? Well, this year, when I went to US, I visited, I went to that session on how to do a kids camp for that particular reason. Like we're a brand new camp, but one of the things I used to talk to my wife about is doing something in the summer here for teens in terms of technology. Right. So it's a perfect fit. It's just our team is so small. It's a great idea. It's on the back burner, but hopefully we'll be able to do it next year. That would be awesome. And now that I have you as a volunteer to help, I'm going to hold you to that.
Give us another reason to come out there. So we'd love that.
All right.
Oh, and I did want to say hi to Anna. Green Geeks, I just wanted to give them a shout out. It's been really helpful with the stuff that we've been doing in the community. Like, we're talking about church and stuff. So actually, near the end of this school year, the swag that we got from Green Geeks, we're going to give to 2 elementary schools to honor their graduating 5th graders. So they'll get some shout outs over the web from some kids. So they'll know that it came from me and Aida in Jacksonville.
Oh, that's awesome. I know last year for us, the leftover shirts that we had from Green Geeks, one of our members was a teacher out here in Palmdale, and she used it as incentive for her kids throughout the year. So yeah, they love the graphics, and it just translates perfectly.
Oh yeah, they do.
Anna, do you have a sample of this year? Because I guess for each year you have a new set of graphics. Do you have an example of how it looks?
The shirt? Or
Yes.
Well, not the shirt. Hold on, let me.
Okay. Oh, sorry to put you on the spot.
No, that's okay. I don't have the shirt, but I'm gonna grab this, which is like, we have a lot of things with 20 that we cannot really.
Oh yeah, those are good shirts. Those are really nice.
2020, so we have.
Awesome.
But yeah, I mean, like Trey said, and I'm sorry he had to go because he had to go take his son to get a Mother's Day gift, I guess. Mother's Day. It's like, we were planning for a full year of camps. So as a planner as I am, I had already in January, actually in December, I had already ordered everything with WordCamp 2020. So Yeah, we'd be happy to share with whoever, you know, want some swag from us.
Yeah,
And
so
we're
yes,
also
I'll follow up with you afterwards because, like I said, I want to package our shirts as well as, and I know William had asked for some, and just get out a thank you package to everyone that's at least involved on our team, and then folks that are involved in the community. So we'll have a place to send those.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you, William, for saying that. Thank you.
Yes,
All right. Are there any other comments or anyone that hasn't had a chance to jump in to share what they thought about the camp before we take a quick break?
Just quickly, I changed the settings so that people should be able to save the chat individually if they'd like.
Okay, thanks for that. And then they could just click on the triple dots and grab it that way. Let me know if you want to go in and try it now. Let us know if you can get at it.
Or they can just hold down their mouse and just do a copy paste. So yeah, should be savable now.
Yeah, on my end, you can triple click and highlight each individual post. So it takes a couple seconds, but you can do it.
Okay.
Maybe because I'm using an older version. They seem to have an update every other day.
And Joe, I know you pasted a link in about your meetup. Why don't you tell us what's going on out in the Inland Empire?
Yeah, so I'm a member of the Inland Empire Meetup group, and we have 2 meetups coming up this week. Tuesday is our developer meetup. That's usually in downtown Corona, but of course we're holding it online. And Thursday is a workshop meetup, which is intended to help people with website issues that they need maybe some help from another member of our community to fix a problem that's on their website. So that is Thursday, and then the developer one is on Tuesday. So you guys can find us on meetup.com. We're listed under Riverside or Corona in your dashboard next week. You'll be able to find it.
Yeah, and one of the awesome things when I first started back in the WordPress community, and I went to all these different meetups in Southern California, was Inland Empire had a number of different flavors for their meetup. Like, we're new, so we had basically a general meetup, but they had split it off into the different meetups that he mentioned there. So again, it's a great way, since it's online, you don't have to drive 2 hours, 2 hours southeast to get there. So yeah, so that's awesome. All right, so are there any other comments? Hey, I see Sonia's there. Did you want to jump in and share? Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you so much, everybody, for pulling this together. I can't believe what you guys did in 19 days. It was like insanely awesome. So I just wanted to say thank you to you all. And I actually had I wanted to go to the Santa Clarita WordCamp, but I have to be honest, like, I'm not a morning person, and I wasn't motivated to drive 2 hours to like get there early in the morning. So I was
Where are you based
sad that I wasn't going to be able to go. And then last minute, I saw the link on Facebook that it had been switched to online, and that meant I could attend, and I was super excited. So thank you for that, for posting that as well. And I wanted to say, like, I really love the online aspect. I live in Brooklyn, New York. I've been to the physical WordCamp in Brooklyn, and I've gone to like the regular meetups with help desk and all that, and they're great. But what's neat about the online, somebody mentioned before, is that you can like shift between the sessions. So like, let's say I want to go to all the sessions, but I can't actually, I don't know which one's going to help me the most. I can flip between them and at least get a little taste of which each one's about. And also love that I think you were making it so that we could watch them later, because I can't remember everything that I see. And I think, oh, that's great, I might take notes. But to be able to go back to those sessions and then watch them at length is fantastic. So thank you all.
Oh, great. And you said you came in from New York.
Yeah, so I was actually out here when like COVID went nuts, and so I canceled my flight back. I was visiting my dad, and so I'd been to some of the recent like Orange County and like Long Beach and Huntington Beach WordPress meetups in the past couple months, and I was supposed to fly back March 26th, and I canceled on March 25th after all my friends said, "Don't come, stay." So.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to share the link to the videos. So this is the playlist of all the videos. I just put it in the channel. And it's sort of organized by the way the day went. So it starts with the opening remarks and it goes through. So you can grab your popcorn and enjoy the day again. So awesome. So thanks. That was great. That's a great story. The awesome thing was that people came in from all over the world. That was amazing. We had a speaker that spoke from Italy. We had folks from Iceland, from Africa, from all over. So this was an amazing event. So thanks everybody. Thanks again for sharing your thoughts. And we're going to try to do a more awesome event next year. So make sure it's always going to be spring break. So we hope to see you then.
So here's one, if you guys haven't figured it out yet, on the links. So I right click on a link in chat and I go to services. I don't know if that's popping up for people. And then I go open URL and it'll open it in the browser. So that's like, it's a workaround, but at least I'm able to get the link and then I could probably favorite the, is anyone else having a problem with that? Yeah, as you right click on the link itself and I have a little window that pops up. It says services. And then there's a whole list of things that I have on my computer that can open. And when one of them is open URL, that will open it in the browser or whatever it's supposed to open.
It's funny, my user experience is completely different, and it's probably because I'm using the Linux client instead of like the Windows or the Mac version. They're like completely different from each other. It's insane.
And also, if someone doesn't have their mouse sit on right click, it's kind of an issue too. But you should always do that. It saves so much time. Let me see if the Spotify link works. Anyway, go ahead. I'm gonna mute myself.
All right. So are there any other thoughts or comments about how the day went? All right. So if there aren't any other comments, we're going to take a 5-minute break. And then when we come back, we're going to get a presentation from Bill Weissbard on local development, which is an important topic because most folks work on their live server to make changes, which is the worst possible thing in the world to do. And I always speak against it. I don't want us to be cowboy coders. So
yeah,
it can destroy.
cowgirl.
They still do it.
Oh, I know. So most people do because that's the way they learn. But can you imagine making a tweak on a client site and then the site going dead?
No, I can't imagine it. I actually remember it.
Yeah, it can be.
No, I've done it more than once.
If you're developing something. So. Yeah. So Bill's going to talk about one of the ways that you can create an environment locally on your computer as part of the process. And again, like I said, we're going to talk about hosting at our next meetup. So we're going to start from day one. So if you're new to WordPress and you want some ideas on what to do from hosting, we're going to talk about that on our May 23rd meetup. So let's take a 5-minute break back at 12:15 and we'll turn the screen over to Bill. So thanks again, everybody, for jumping in. Thanks, Ahmed, for zooming in the middle of the night. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate what you did for us at the camp. I can't wait to meet you in person, hopefully next year. And we'll take a 5-minute break and we'll be back at 12:15.
Oh my God.
Hey, Bill. I see you're still on. It's Sonia. You're on mute. I see your video, though. Hi. Were you the one that said you worked in aerospace?
Yeah, I did.
I did too. I worked at McDonnell Douglas and Hughes for Huntington Beach, McDonnell Douglas, and then Hughes Aircraft in El Segundo for 4 years.
Oh,
Way
really?
back. Yeah.
Really? Wow. I was up at Rockwell Science Center.
Okay, cool.
And that was fascinating. I started out working in the lab, and then I moved into program management for about 10 years.
Oh, that's very good.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So did you say that you said you're in Brooklyn, but I looked at your picture and you didn't look like Brooklyn?
Oh, I live in Brooklyn.
Whereabouts? I grew up in Brooklyn.
Carroll Gardens.
Where?
Carroll Gardens.
Why don't I know? It's been so long since I've been there. What streets is that like?
So it's I'm off Smith Street and 4th Street. So
Oh.
do you know? Yeah, like a mile and 1.3 miles south of Brooklyn Heights, to be specific.
Yeah. Oh, okay, no, I know where that is. Yeah, I grew up further south, kind of near Kings Highway.
Oh wow, okay. What neighborhood were you in?
I guess it was Flatbush. I'm not sure if it was Flatbush
Okay.
or Midwood. I grew up on Avenue O, so I had to walk a block to P.
What train did you take?
What train did I take?
Yeah.
That was a D train at that time.
Okay. Yeah, I live off the F train.
Oh, you're off the F train. Oh, well,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
I have not been back. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, someday you're gonna have to go back because everything's changed so much. I mean, of course,
know.
now it's a little weird, but so changed. Brooklyn's so
Yeah.
hip now.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I went to Brooklyn Tech, and in those days, nobody would stay after school for school sports because it was just too dangerous.
Oh wow.
Okay. And
Wow.
and I knew some people who had a flat there until a few years ago, and they sold it. They moved to California, and then a year later, it was worth like $1 million.
Yeah.
There's just places
Shoulda,
that
coulda,
got
woulda.
mattresses in the windows, right? Yeah.
Right.
It's changed a lot.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Yeah, I mean, I actually, I grew up out here, so I meant to tell the other, well, someday I'll tell the other one that was from Santa Barbara. I went to UCSB, so
Oh,
undergrad, then to Vanderbilt to grad school, so.
Oh, okay.
Hey, guys.
Hey,
I'm
let
a Santa
me.
Barbara person.
Oh, hi, you're the Santa
I'm
Barbara
just
one.
sitting here
Hi,
walking
Alicia.
around going, oh my God, what are the chances of 2 aerospace people who live in Brooklyn? I mean,
Yeah, what's the chance? What's the chance? Who would think? Who would think? Seriously. It's because like you become so I don't know. It kind of warps your worldview, let's put it that way.
the aerospace?
No, Brooklyn.
Oh,
I thought you guys didn't hear me. I just called it Aerosmith.
Seriously.
awesome.
I completely missed that. If you didn't say anything, I wouldn't have noticed.
Hey, Joe, I wanted to thank you for your talk. Because it kind of inspired me to go and actually try this out, this jQuery thing. And so what I did was I wrote a blog post because that to me is a painful way of having to go through and create each step and learn to tell somebody else how that step works. And that helps. I'm really writing it for my own benefit to help me work through and really learn it. And I actually got a page built that actually displays a category.
Oh, wonderful.
Nice.
Yeah.
Bravo, friends.
So that's on my site. My site looks really wonky right now. I've got 2 nav bars that one floats over the other. I got to get rid of one of them. I got some weird styling thing going on. It looks like crap. But no, it's like.
No, I mean, that's
Most
why I
of
have like 3 or 4 different domains. 2 of them is just broken all the time.
Right.
I use it for like, we joke about, because you're gonna talk about local development, right?
Yeah.
So like, yeah, no, I do local development, but sometimes I need to show a project in progress to
Oh, the
a
sandbox.
client at the college.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, well, I'm not putting this onto the live website because that's just a recipe for disaster, right? I'm still building it. So I'll throw it up on a completely different URL.
Oh,
So
you know
kinda
what
like
you
this weird-
know what I do, Joseph? Because we gotta do different Joes here. I actually have on my own server a sandbox. It's a subdomain.
Oh,
So, and
smart.
I put folders in there. So then the client actually sees sandbox as dot whatever, and so that works. And then you got to just kind of keep on them and make sure that they're updated, that they're taken down when you're done. It's discouraged the search engines, but apparently Google says that they're not going to abide by that anymore. That so you want to get your staging things that are out to the world down as quickly as possible when you're done.
I'm sorry, what is
why
that?
I have 2 staging domains now.
What?
Sorry, what would you say, Bill?
What do you, Alicia, what did you say Google said?
About 4 months ago, that like the whole, even if you check discourage searches for this site, that's not enough to actually discourage them. They might actually get some of the pages indexed. So if you have like a staging site up, it might actually start competing with the live site. I actually saw someone who did that. She didn't check the box in the staging site. Yeah.
Oh, really? Really? How interesting.
Has anybody used anything like WP feedback? I heard you can actually create a mock-up site there, like and get feedback from your customer, and they could actually WP feedback.
Oh, well, see, at this
wow.
point, when we get to a certain stage, the client's doing homework. You know what I mean? Like, can we put content in, and then I can see what kind of moves you're gonna make. Oh, you're gonna do that. Okay, so now I'm gonna start making that post type. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot,
but I use I create a staging site for all of my customers on my own website, like a subdomain, and that's how I do it. Yeah.
Joe, do you want to do that? You do. It keeps them all in one place, and you can just like get rid of them.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing that I think you can do on MAMP Pro, I haven't done it, but I think it's there, is to set up a dynamic URL so that you can actually take one of your sites, whichever one you want to show, make it live, and then give them kind of a virtual site.
So you're doing MAMP Pro. Is that what we're going to see here?
No, just MAMP.
Oh, just MAMP. Okay. Have you seen desktop server?
Hmm?
Have you ever seen desktop server?
I have not used desktop server.
And the desktop server folks are out in Joe's neck of the woods.
And also mine too. Like I use it all the time. Never mind. We're gonna watch this talk.
I hope it's not too simple for you.
I was gonna say, why don't you share it? Why don't you share your story while I give Bill access to? I'm gonna
share my story.
Yeah, about your local server. I think you were about to say something.
Oh yeah. Okay. So let me. Hold on. I'll be right back. Okay. Yeah, my local story is I was using the MAMP. I was using MAMP, and it was great. And MAMP is actually it's awesome resource. It actually gets you like your teeth into something, right? And so you can learn. But then I saw the WP water cooler. It was like a little show, like a video cast, and they were talking about desktop server, which I'd never heard of. They're actually sponsors to a lot of the WordCamps. And the 10-year-old had a website up in like 5 minutes, and I was like, what? And so I went and I grabbed it, and it's like you can get 2 free sites on it. You can always have 2 sites for free. If you want more, then you have to kind of pay a yearly fee for it. Like it's like $80 or something, or 90. And it is. I can demo the screen after you're done with your talk, because I don't want anybody to take thunder. But it has like a interface in the web browser where it's listing all the sites, and it has .dev.cc is its like the .com thing, and it also has a tab for, you can click to go into the admin, you can click to go to the database, and you can click to go to the front of the site. And it's just like you just literally go through steps 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's a site. And so I paid for the pro version. I've got like 30 sites in there on my local machine.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
I just I never looked at MAMP again. I was just like, oh my God, are you kidding me? So yeah, that's what I use. I mean, we can compare after we're done. After you're done, I can show a demo of how I put up a site.
Awesome. So with that, that's a
More ways
perfect
to use
that's a perfect transition
He's
to our
all nervous now.
You're killing me.
all right. So
Oh my
our
God.
next speaker is gonna talk about just that. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of folks that learn WordPress just jump right in and they start developing. They build a site for somebody and then they make changes on the live site, which is probably the worst thing you could ever do to a client. So with that, Bill's going to present Living Off the Web, how to set up an offline development area using MAMP and Atom. Those are two tools that developers know well. Sure, making changes to a site live on the web is scary. Sure, developing a new and unique website in public view can be embarrassing if your site flops. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to develop your website in the privacy of your own desktop? And if something goes wrong, have the freedom to just start over. In Bill's talk, you'll learn how to set up an offline design environment, create a WordPress installation, install a child theme, and learn how to push the site up to the web. The offline tools he'll be using is the free version of WAMP and Atom. Wait until you see how easy this really is. Bill Weissbard, Living Off the Web, how to set up an offline development environment using MAMP and Atom.
Okay. So what do I do here? Share?
Yeah, share screen and then pick your screen and then go from there.
Okay, I'm going to share that. Did that work?
Yes.
Yeah, it's working.
Can you see my slides? I'll go through and play them. Oh, okay, great. And I can see all of you attendees. So guys, listen, this talk is really intended more at kind of an early beginning developer level. And you guys are really a bunch of pros. So if I'm going too slow, let me know. And I'll speed it up or I'll skip stuff or do whatever you want if I know how. Okay? Promise?
Sounds
Joe's
good.
going, yeah, Joe's going, yeah, skip to the end. And Jason's like, yeah, I heard this before. Like, no problem. So the key here is, I made a big point of talking about, when I gave the talk, about how scary it is to develop a site live online. And I gotta tell you, I do it too. I just did a blog post where I was developing a custom template for something, and I did it all using my cPanel code editor for the file, which is like the absolute worst thing you could ever do. But I did it anyway, because I kept pulling code snippets, so I kind of had the code there in case I killed it. But all I would kill by doing that would be that one template. Right? But if you're going to work on your functions.php, I would definitely try it offline because that's hard to recover, right? I hear some like, oh God, yeah. Okay, so this is, oh, and by the way, who was it who said that, you know, writing a presentation the night before is kind of a problem? Was that you, Alicia? Okay, so what I learned to do when I used to write a lot of presentations, and I did it for this as well, is I do it about a week before because it's a good opportunity to procrastinate and not do something else that is actually needed to be done then. So I use it as a procrastination tool. I schedule time to procrastinate. And then I do it, and then it's mostly finished. And then I review it like the night before, and I realize it's like totally bad. I just like start rewriting. So it's an edit task instead of, I end up taking a lot of stuff out, quite honestly.
Hey, Bill, I have a question.
Yeah.
So do you want people to jump in with questions as you go, or would you like them to hold them to the end?
Yeah, jump in with questions because I'm kind of flying blind. And I know you guys are really a bunch of experts here, so this may be below your level, quite honestly. So jump in, okay? Okay, so here goes. Reasons to develop on local. what the development environment looks like, servers and editors, and pushing the site to the web, I'll just touch on for a second. It's not complicated. Okay. We'll start with an overview of the development environment. And when I gave the talk live at the WordCamp, I did a little bit more of extensive of a demo, but I think I can just kind of show you guys the environment here, and I think it'll probably be enough. And then the cool thing, which I did not get into in the talk before, was the step-by-step guide. So I might bring that up. That's available on my website, by the way. Okay, so here we go. And here's my plugin thing. I want to get this moved out of the way. This is old technology, obviously has a lot of plugins, these old phone systems. Nobody's laughing. Okay.
I'm laughing.
Okay.
Mute.
Yeah, I politely muted myself because I'm constantly laughing.
Like telling COVID jokes at a funeral,
You
please.
should unmute so we can laugh at his jokes because it's not fun to not hear.
Oh, okay, fine.
What the?
But you want to do all your work offline until you're really, really ready for people to see it, especially on the client side or on a business site. I don't really have client sites right now, but I have a business site for we have a Pilates studio. So there's a lot that's always gone on there. But you want to keep it private until it's presentable. And this is what a lot of people don't really look at the overview to think about how this actually works. And think of it this way, you have a local development environment which you control completely. And you're not doing anything with your online host. When you're done, then you push it up to the host. And there are various ways to do it, but something like the duplicator plugin probably works mostly reliably and is the least amount of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All-in-one migration. Pretty good.
All-in-one migration. Yeah, I haven't used that one, but I've heard it being good before. The only thing is that if you have very, very large image or uploads in your site, you might have to upload them separately.
No, you just buy the Pro add-on for unlimited.
You could.
Every penny.
You could. I didn't.
A duplicator like that too, where you have to buy like an add-on to export or import bigger things.
I think it is. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, so that should be the one investment you should make. Seriously, because I found rarely any site that would do less than what the Pro did.
Right.
Is that one license for all sites, or is that you have to buy one license for each site that you?
No, my all my migration I can use on any site forever.
Great.
Yeah, it really depends on the developer and what their business model is.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Okay, so in this tree, you see at the very top you have the browser, and the browser depends on information being sent to it by the local servers. The local servers are fed by the WordPress installation, and the WordPress installation is modified by the editors. So if you think of it this way, I know it's very simplistic, but please think of it, be aware of where you are in this process at any time. Most of the time we just run into the back end or run into a file and we're down in the editor's level and we're not really thinking about how the whole flow works, okay? So that's about it. Now here's where it gets good. With the MAMP program, and I'm using MAMP because this is the free version, and for the purpose of this presentation, I wanted it to be accessible to people who didn't want to necessarily go and pay $80 to get started. You don't need to at the beginning. But MAMP stands for Mac, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. So basically MAMP has 3 servers or 3 programming environments. One's the Apache server, one is a MySQL environment, and the other is a PHP environment, okay? Within those, There are relationships. The Apache server serves files to the browser, takes instructions from the browser, and tells the program what to do. Okay, and you never touch that. Well, some people do. I don't. It's way beyond me. Now, on the PHP side, you have a couple of things. The PHP environment is what runs the WordPress files. If you look through the WordPress core files, you'll see they're all .php files. And so that's how they operate within the PHP environment. And you can use any text editor to edit them. In this case, I'm using Atom, which I think is a really good, reliable, easy to use system. And it's free, okay? On the other side, you have MySQL environment, which is really, it's a database query language. You can query the WordPress database and you do all that work. Typically, you can modify the database through PHP MyAdmin, or you can run MySQL commands directly off of a page if you're going to do searching for data, or you can do something like WP query, which actually looks like it drives MySQL, well, SQL type of commands, SQL being sequential query language. Okay? Good? Can I go on? Okay, good. Okay, MAMP or WAMP, or for Joe, that would be LAMP. I don't think they make that. Sorry, Joe. Because that's those are jokes.
I'm laughing. Joe,
All about LAMP.
You got LAMP? Okay, I'm so happy.
I got it too.
Oh my God. Oh, it's so sad. Okay.
There's no light for that lamp.
And yeah, it's actually in dark print there, so you can't see it.
Okay, good.
Okay. Oh my God. So MAMP is free, and the trick is and I just went through this with my good friend Robin, who was actually at the WordCamp, but she couldn't make it here today because she's got a grandkid today. That's fun. But I talk to her all the time. Then she had some trouble, so I just worked through this so I know a little bit better about how to teach it. When you download MAMP, you're also going to download MAMP and MAMP Pro at the same time. Once you do that, do not try to use MAMP Pro unless you pay the license fee, because it won't work. It's not active, and it's confusing. So just use the MAMP for the purpose of this demo, at least. Okay. And Atom is the other program you use. It's really an IDE. It's really kind of an integrated design environment, in that it's really a code editor. At least it'll give you look-aheads for code. Kind of fill in. You type a couple characters, it'll fill in the rest of the line, give you code suggestions, things like that. It works great. It's simple. It's clear what's happening. I love it. But it doesn't print, and I like to print. Can you guys see me at all?
Yep.
You can. This is printing, annotating all the time. It's the only way I know how to learn.
He's printed out the entire WP query handbook.
Actually, I printed out. Yeah, I printed out half of it. I put it into a book form, and it's like a lot of WP query, of which I've read like maybe a quarter of it, quite honestly. And I kind of almost understood some of it, which was shocking. Okay. If you want to print, use Komodo Edit. It's the only text editor I know of. There may be others, but it's easy to print. It's not as easy to use as Atom. Okay. But that helps. Okay. MAMP and MAMP Pro. You can only work on one site at a time on MAMP. You can have multiple sites in development, but to go to a different site, you need to reset the path to tell the server which site you're going to use. The reason being, if you go to your browser, you're always going to be looking at local 8888. So localhost port 8888. So no site name. Okay. On MAMP Pro, you can run multiple sites simultaneously. You just open up a browser tab and type in, I think it's the name of your host and then colon 8888 or 8890 if it's HTTPS. So it has a lot more flexibility. You can go between different sites. You can say, oh, I like the styling on this site. I want to use it, and then go and try to recall what your CSS was there, and then use it on the different sites. You can look back and forth, compare more easily, much more convenient. The other thing is the manual WordPress install on MAMP, whereas it's automatic on MAMP Pro. And I got to tell you that to me, one of the greatest learning processes I had in becoming familiar with WordPress was doing the WordPress install manually over and over again until I really began to understand how it worked. So it takes time, it's confusing, and I think it's well worth the time. And I hope that's not too scary for some people. Okay? Any questions?
No, not yet. Nope.
Okay. Should I go faster?
Yeah, I think you can go faster, right? I'm keeping up. Anybody else?
I'm kind of new to this, so.
It's recorded. I'm like, don't think you missed anything.
Well,
Come back.
No,
I think you're doing great.
At 10
you'll
o'clock,
be able to compare this version with the WordCamp version, and you can be more critical.
I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Spirituality in my own life. Oh, please.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Talk about self-criticizing. All right. So to set up MAMP, the first thing you want to do is put your files into a folder. So you'll need a folder. So create a target folder using your Finder if you're on a Mac, or Explorer if you're on a PC. I'm not sure how you do it on Linux. And you also need to create a database with all user privileges. And that uses the MAMP web start page. And it uses phpMyAdmin, which to you newbies, you'll find out that it really is MySQL, and it really should be called MySQL MyAdmin, but it's not. So there you go. Okay. So now we're getting into the meat. I hope everybody can see this. MAMP does something interesting. When you install MAMP, it sets up, it installs, first of all, into the applications folder, and then it installs a folder called MAMP, which has all of its stuff. And within that, there's a folder called htdocs, HTDOCS. And that's where you should put your folders, one folder for each site that you develop. It's kind of important to do that. I tried doing it elsewhere into a development folder somewhere. It got totally confusing. It was horrible. I lost everything. It was great. I'll never do that again. So use the htdocs folder. Now, what I've done here is really kind of simple. I've created an htdocs folder and then created a new file called index.php. And if you look in the bottom pane, you can see that circled Atom. So that's a pane from Atom. And I opened up a file. I opened up a project which was pointing to the MAMP test site. Excuse me. Dry from talking. And I created an index.html file. And all I did in there, if you look in the right-hand pane, was some HTML tags. It's a very simple page. And all it does is says, this MAMP test site is alive. I always do this when I'm creating a new site to make sure that the site can go live. Yeah. So I create a subdomain or something. I always put a dummy index file in there. make sure it comes up before I invest time in actually building the site. Okay? All right, moving on. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky. On the left, you see the MAMP basic page. And I'll point out that there's a power button there, which is green right now. And this is just an image of it. And you can stop the servers, in which case that would, I think, be grayed out. And you can click it again to restart the servers. Up above that, you see the Apache server is green, and the MySQL server is also green. So they're operating. You have to do that every time you make a change. I'm going to go on mute for a second. I think I'm okay. Getting a little dry. Now the trick here, on older versions of MAMP, you could go right to the web start page. But on the modern version, you've got to go to up in the top toolbar on your computer where it says MAMP. There's a pull down and it says preferences. Open up the preferences. I'm going to mute if I can for a minute. I need to take a very, very quick break here. Okay?
All right.
No problem.
Am I muted?
Nope.
You're good. Just mute it unless
I'm
you're
muted. Joe, can you mute me for a second?
okay.
Thanks. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Throw down with
So Alicia, I just saw your cat hit you with its tail.
also like this is what it was. Sometimes he actually, one time he put his mouth on the edge of my laptop and went, I was like, no. Oh, look at that, people. He thinks he's a dog. He fetches too. He's actually chocolate brown.
Oh.
Can't tell.
You're still muted, Bill.
You're
There
good.
you go.
There you go.
Good? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. My throat's just getting dry.
Hey, I should be a representation. We need to get 2 15-minute breaks every 5 minutes.
I like it.
Oh.
I like it.
How does that sound?
Well, my wife says that's what you do anyway. Okay, so the right-hand pane, well, on the left-hand pane, you see, that top bar at the top of the computer says MAMP, go to Preferences, just like with any program. You click on Preferences, it'll pull up the preference pane. It has various tabs. Go to Web Server, which is highlighted in blue. And then within that, you'll see below Document Root, you see a path. And you can hover over that and expand it on the real version. It would say Mac HD, User, Desktop, Applications, HT Docs, and then, let's see, I can't move you guys out of the way. It says something after that. I think it probably says Test Site 1. And you click select.
About our little faces in the squares. I think you can drag that around.
I don't have any mouse control here.
Really? Weird.
I'm going to escape from this program for a moment. And now I think I can drag this around. There we go. Okay.
Okay, I see.
Back to play. Okay, and then it says MAMP test site. So HTDocs MAMP test site. And you click OK. You can select it. You can do show and find, or you can go and find a different path to a different site folder if you like. If you want to work on something else. Really easy. Okay. And now I go to a browser, and here I'm using Firefox. Pull up a new tab, type in localhost 8888 because the default port for MAMP is 8888. Hit return, and I get a message, this MAMP test site is alive. See it?
Yay. It's alive. What's
that?
I just like, it's alive.
It's alive. It's alive. What?
So just don't make it Frankenstein, some people make a Frankenstein out of their website. It's alive.
Really? Really?
You know, like from the movie, that's what they say when Frankenstein's first alive. It's alive.
Really?
Alive, it's alive. Yes.
Yeah.
No. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Hey, Bill, I just for 1 second, I just wanted to give a shout out to Kara, one of our speakers. She jumped on. She just jumped on now.
Sure.
Thanks for being a part of the WordCamp. You had to work today, but I'm glad you were able to join in.
Yes, thanks. Sorry I'm running late, guys.
Oh, hi, Kara.
Hi.
So what were your thoughts as a first-time speaker?
Gosh, it was really exciting to just do the speaking in general, but and I've done a little bit of public speaking before, so but not being in person and not be able to see people was a little strange, but to a certain extent it also felt like it took the pressure off a little bit because I'm not looking at all these eyes staring up at me, and there's no chance for my brain to suddenly be like, hey, there's everybody looking at you, you know. So
yeah. I know when we were going around earlier and sharing stories, I know Richard had mentioned one of the areas he wanted to learn in the upcoming year was about performance and security. So your topic was right on point for that. I don't know if he was able to catch it, but what kind of feedback did you get from your audience, or how did you think it went in general as an online presentation?
You know, it seemed to go well. I didn't really get much feedback. I feel awful. I don't remember his name, but the person who was my moderator said it went well and was interesting. And then my husband's like old high school friend wound up having been there too, and he said that it was an interesting presentation. He learned something. So I was like, okay, that sounds good.
Awesome. So, well, thanks again for joining us and sharing your.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. We're gonna, Bill's presenting his topic that he did at WordCamp Santa Clarita. So we're gonna jump back into that. Feel free to hang around if you want, or if you've got other things planned for Saturday, that's fine too. But thanks again. I appreciate it so much. Hopefully we'll see you next year.
Fingers crossed.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Sorry, Bill. Sorry for the interruption.
No problem. No problem. Okay. So I do this, you know, and originally I started by writing flat HTML pages back before I learned about WordPress, and even dynamic content using databases and MySQL calls. That's where I kind of started. So I would always, you know, make sure I had connectivity before I went on. So this is a trick I learned back then. Make sure everything's connected first. Okay, so let's go on. Oh, now you got to do the setup itself. And for those of you who have not done the setup, do it over and over again until you really understand it. It's worth it. Okay, go to WordPressWP.org where it says download WordPress. Get a copy of it. Always get a fresh copy. It comes in a zip, unzip it, copy and paste all of the WordPress files into your target folder. In this case, the target folder was, I'm going back, where was it? Oh, it was the MAMP test site folder. Okay. By the way, this index file, I renamed it to something else. I renamed it to isalive.txt. If I ever have problems and lose connectivity to that site, I'll rename the existing index file and I'll just change this back to index and make sure things are working again. So it's a good little trick. Okay. You have to also create the database and the database users. So let's do that. This is what the WordPress file structure looked like. You just copy and paste them. And this is Atom, which you see here. I just downloaded the files, opened the zip, opened my Atom application, went to the folder where I had the files, which was probably my download folder, and you can just see everything right there. Okay. This is a little bit abstract. On your MAMP control panel, which is the gray panel on the left with a chart with a kind of pink border arrow on the bottom, you can open Web Start Page. The Web Start Page will take you to phpMyAdmin. And from phpMyAdmin, you'll be able to create a database, modify databases, do all the work you need to do, okay? And create database users. So let's do that. And once you've done that, then you can go back to MAMP, which we've already done here. Select the right path. Every time you change a path in MAMP, you'll have to put in your system password, and then point the browser to localhost:8888, and then go see if it's alive. Let's see if it's alive. It's alive. You guys are such a bunch of geeks.
Best version of Frankenstein ever made.
I know,
Definitely
right?
agree.
So there you go. That's it. Okay. So now, the development loop. How do you know if you're really developing something? Well, first thing you do is you upload a child theme. Create your own child theme. It's easy to do. I think I even have a post on how to do it. I gave a really bad presentation on it at Santa Clarita WordCamp a year ago. I'm not proud of that presentation. I'll write some blog posts that kind of describe it better. Design something, develop something, crash it, and fix it, and now you're a developer. There you go. Okay. Kara's laughing.
Gone through the white screen of
Nope,
death.
that's my methodology too.
You know the dreaded white screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I don't get it at least once, then I'm surprised.
Then you're not really doing anything. Yeah. The page with no content. That's my new mantra. It's happening every day. Okay. Duplicator, and the other one was, what was it called? All-in-one?
All-in-one migration.
All-in-one migration.
Yeah.
All in.
Hey, Bill, I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you work incrementally and push things up, or do you just work until you get to a point where you feel like you're finished and then you put it up? What's sort of like the developer's mindset in terms of the development process?
In this world, you're never quite done.
No fight is done.
But I would say you have to kind of freeze it at a point in time and say, okay, I've got enough. I've got the site the way I want it, except for content. Like if it's a blog, you're always adding content to it. And let's say that you're not doing any custom templates, but you've got a style sheet that you're using. So get that all working, get all the formats going the way you want them, throw in a little sample content, then go live. Then start building real content. Down the road, you find that you should really develop another, let's say a custom template. So do that offline, which I say you should do, which I don't do. And then once you get that working, copy that file up to the live site.
Because I guess for me, and again, I'm sort of a front-end person trying to work towards being a developer. And it seems like, that initial iteration is fine, but once you start adding features or more, new features to your site, you have issues with version control, or it sounds like you just copy the new item.
Yeah,
you have to.
If you're really good at it, you're doing version control. Like Alex has a whole Alex Vasquez.
I'll be interested. I'd like to know that. Yeah. Because what I end up doing is I just use my local as staging. So I will grab the current version of the site and just put it in my local again and then work from there. Because this is mine, or if no one's touching it. But then you run that risk of people who are really prolific and they've put a couple blog posts up since you pulled it down. And so in that case, I'll export just those blog posts.
Yeah, I guess it's dependent on whether you're part of a team or you work solo.
Yeah. Working solo is the best. Like in this case, for this kind of like whatever.
Well, I think that's the difference between working on your own sites. So working on your own site, you're either developing or you're going to be writing a blog post, you're adding content, but you're not doing both at the same time. So you can control it. If it's a client site where they're adding content all the time, then you have no control over that. And yeah, you can easily get out of sync. So you might want to make a copy of the current version of the site, just so that you have a fresh copy on local. Develop whatever special features you need, and then copy those and paste them, or FTP them up to the real site once you've got them working. That way you're not.
One of the things I found I was doing is like I worked a little on the local one, but I did a quick change on the live one. Forgot I did that quick change, or something, and something got over it.
Oh, God, yeah.
Something that was small but was very big in the effect that it produced. And I was like, God, why did I do that?
Right.
Try to keep them. One of them is just never touch it unless you pull it down.
Well, with somebody else, who's Jason, maybe you remember, I think Alex Vasquez was talking about workflow at one point, where he had some kind of scenario where he had his staging site, and he was flipping back and forth between the staging site and the live site. And he had some constraints on it. I don't remember how it worked.
That's awesome.
But he does some big sites. So yeah, this is an ongoing problem.
He works a lot from the command line, and I saw him putting in all kinds of commands, and that automatically creates all kinds of stuff. And he's using Lando. I think he said Lando. I guess it's another thing similar to MAMP or something, or but it's more developer oriented. I don't know how it is, but he's kind of pretty advanced. I want to get there one day, but I'm not there yet.
Oh yeah, he does big sites that have a lot of traffic for large institutions. So he's a pretty top end guy. He started and runs the Pasadena Meetup, and he has good hair. Apparently, so he says. Okay, moving on. Oh, the demo. As you see here, we have a demo graphic. Right. Sorry about that, guys.
I'm laughing. It's hard to laugh alone.
Like, that looks like my my multi-site presentation from 2017.
What's that?
I presented on multi-site. I had a similar graphic at the end of mine.
Oh no! Can you see this?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I just want to show you.
Whole thing though, you don't have it on slide view. You can see like what's coming up next. You don't want any spoilers. You know what I mean?
Can you see my mouse?
I can see your mouse. I can also see your slide thumbnails. Is that what you want to show us?
Slide thumbnail.
Yeah, you don't have it on your slideshow.
It looks like he's about to jump out and do a presentation.
Oh, you're ready.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Actually, we don't see. I just see your slides. I don't see. Are you supposed to be in a browser or something?
I don't see your browser.
Let's move this guy up.
Yeah, I think you have to share and pick your screen browser as well.
Yeah, it looks like you picked the slide, the presentation screen. Just
yeah, so just go back to share screen, and then you need to pick your browser window as the option.
Or he might have to unshare and share his desktop.
I have to stop share, yeah.
Yeah.
And now I have to share again.
Yeah, either share your desktop.
There we go.
Okay, there we go. That's how.
Yeah, now we got your code at Atom.
This is like Visual Studio a little bit.
Is this, what you should be seeing is Atom?
Yep.
Okay. The left-hand bar, you see project.
Yep.
htdocs, a couple of sites, right?
Uh-huh.
I can go to file, I can go to add a project folder, reopen a project, go to any one of these, which I'm not going to do. This happens to be the one that I'm on, Applications, MAMP, HC Docs, just like opening any document. It's just a text editor, okay? But what's nice is in the left-hand pane, I can open up my MAMP test site. I can open up another test site. I can go to my MAMP test site. I can go to WP content. I can go to themes. And then
Blank stare, that sounds a good one.
right, blank stare. And 2016 means it's designed to work with the 2016 theme. So this is kind of how I name these things. Blank stare 2016. If I go down here to the other one, I think I have a bunch of them. Content, themes, blank stare 2016 with a custom post type for templates. And I could make other things like that, okay? I'm gonna go back up here. Blank stare is my folder. Screenshot. I thought that was fitting for giving a live presentation to no audience. Hey, okay. Functions.php. You guys know child things, right?
Yes.
Okay. So functions just pulls in or enqueues the parent and child style sheets, and the style sheet itself has a theme name as a top comment, and that's all there is to it. And then here I have entry content H2 is red. Let's see what happens. I'm going to go to a browser, and I'm going to get rid of some things here. And this is my test site. And you can see it's on localhost :8888. That's,
we can't because you're only sharing this. Okay, you're going to have to unshare. And when you share again, just hit the share button because you'll be sharing your desktop, and then we'll be able to see the windows that you're using. Because I think you're only sharing the actual application window when you share.
so this is desktop
Yeah, the
one.
one top left. If you don't.
Can you see it now?
Windows, yes, I see.
Yep, that's your whole desktop.
Okay, so here's MAMP, here's rather Atom, and here's my browser, and you can see the page.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Now I'm just going to go back here, and I'm going to go back in, I don't know. I'm going to make this, come on.
Green.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have no idea what color that is. And I'm going to Control S, or rather Command S on the Mac. And then I'm going to go back to my. Oh, look. I changed the color of the text.
Navy.
Navy?
Well, it looks that way on my screen, so.
This is hex code 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Midnight blue.
Midnight blue, okay. This is hex code FF 0000, which I think is going to be red.
Oh, red? Oh, maybe it is red.
Refresh. Red.
You type in red, but you only get that red. That's a predetermined red.
That's pure red.
Yeah.
Okay. If I go in here and if I turn off the reds by making them zeros instead of Fs, F is of course hex 16, and I'll make the next 2 bits Fs. I'm turning on, I think, the green.
All right, this is geeky right here. Knowing like what color.
Geeky, right? Green.
Does it do no? I don't even know those. I just go refresh the page. Oh, it's that color. Cool.
Oh, right. And I could also do like purple. A word. Command S. There it goes.
That's very valuable to know that.
Does that help you? And
Well,
I
it's
can.
good because you can get the specifics. So whatever color you like, you can, or as a group's brand identity, that you can save that and reuse it all the time for their site.
Oh yeah, they should have given you a style guide.
Yeah.
With that in it. That's like a 1% chat. Most of these small businesses.
Yeah, one of the things I do with at work is I'll do a class tag of, say, like orange, and then that will refer back to the specific hexadecimal code for my client's orange, because orange is any color is a big range of color, right?
Salmon or pumpkin, you know what I mean?
True. There's some color pickers. This is on the side. If I do color pickers, are you guys familiar with color pickers?
Oh yeah, I have one called SIP. It's an app for Mac. It's pretty cool. It stays up in my
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's SIP. It's really cool. And it's just so simple. It's just a simple, no whistles and bells, and they name the colors. Somebody went through and named them, so you can go, oh, what's this one called?
All right.
Yeah.
There's one built into Firefox DevTools, which is kind of cool too.
Oh yeah.
I can walk you through that right now while you're sharing the screen. Hit F12 on your keyboard. It should bring up your DevTools, I think. Oh, maybe it didn't. Oh, that just does your volume.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, this is not word perfect.
I'll
bring it up.
It's probably in the dev.
Yeah, it's in the DevTools. But I'll share my screen when you're done, if anyone's curious.
That's great. Here's one I like. I think this is the one.
Toolbox.
Pick a color. And what's nice is,
you know what else you can do too?
I get the hex code.
Yeah. Okay. So there's another thing you can do real quickly. It is in the DevTools. Okay. So I usually do it in Chrome, but if you're looking at the investigator, I forgot what it's called. There's a little square of the color in the CSS. In the inspector. You click on the little square, and then you get an open picker. So like, yeah, inspect element. Let's see if they do it here. Yeah,
I noticed that little eyedropper in the top corner next to the X.
You have a color in the CSS too.
Oh.
Yeah, you can do that, but you can also target an exact element that you have a color on. And it will, so in the here's one, click the black dot or the white dot, okay? Now, yeah, and so in Chrome though, you have the options underneath this panel of hexadecimal, the RGB, and some other things that you can.
Nice.
Yeah, that's why I do Chrome instead of Firefox. Well, Firefox was my first one years ago. It's getting better now. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So there's so many. It's like, okay, you guys can imagine working on the internet and as like a video game where you have to unleash the treasures to score points, because that's what it's like. I just told you some serious coins were hidden in there.
Oh, you get a new life.
And for every developer in this room, you've got a different way of doing exactly the same thing.
But you still get a new life because you get more time back. It's like, it's no joke. It's no joke.
Oh no. Oh no. So I use Firefox predominantly because I'm very sloppy and I tend to keep tons of windows open.
As long as you're not using Safari. Oh my God. there's people who like are using Safari. I was like,
Well,
2%
Safari's
of the audience online.
the user, yeah, it's by far the easiest to use, but it doesn't have the same capability.
But it's also only 2% of people viewing. So like some websites just don't even work on it. Like major websites, and they didn't try.
Well, where Safari has trouble is if you have online forms, online Excel sheets to fill out, they don't render right in Safari. So a lot of those sites, like government sites, sometimes don't work on Safari. Yeah. Anyway, so what I did in the demo last time was I said, oh, look, I've got all these child themes, and I'm going to go and I'm going to, what if I have another child theme that I want to try out? So I'm going to go to my other site, MAMP site 2, and under themes, oh, look, here's one. I don't know if this works or not, but it's called Blank Stare 2016 with custom post types, which I doubt work right. I just right click it, copy, go back up to the MAMP test site, content, themes, always go to the same place, right click, paste, and there it is. I've just moved my other child theme up to this site. So now if I went back to this site, and I don't know if I can do this, I'm on the site. I'm going to try going to localhost 8888/WP admin, and I doubt if I know the password. We'll see if it works. This is test 1, so there we go. It's test user 1. This is again test site 1 on local. So I'm logging in. And now I'm going to go to appearance, themes. And sure enough, here's the other version of Blank Stare, the one that has custom post types.
Nice.
So you can move whole folders from one website application to another. So one thing you can do is you can, let's say you have style sheets that you want to try it out, and you go, oh, I really like that style sheet. And you might want to then copy and paste it, the style sheet itself, into the main child theme that you're using. A word of caution, you can build child themes with multiple style sheets, but it impacts loading time. So when you go live, you want to take the code itself and put them all into one master style sheet. Okay, so I guess that's all I had to say about that. And do I have a few more minutes here, Joe?
You do. We're running a little over, but that's fine.
Okay.
My WordPress meetup always runs over.
Yeah, I was gonna say take as much time as you want, though. Take as much time as you need.
Okay, so this concludes the presentation, but let's see if I have the other one up. Where is it? Presentation, the addendum. I want to go through this with you guys, just because it's, I think, very, very useful. Might be useful. Step-by-step instructions. How to do it, step by step, setting up MAMP and checking connectivity. This is just the same thing we did in the presentation, but a little bit more detailed. Lots of screenshots. We did this. Setting up WordPress.
A resource guide that you've published? Is that what are we?
This is a step-by-step resource guide.
Ooh, nicely done.
He's the hardest working speaker at WordCamp. He didn't give me one slide deck, but 2 slide decks.
I know, right?
Oh, this is a lead magnet for a website too.
Oh, let's not go there.
This is a future WordCamp presentation.
Yeah.
Well, this could be helpful.
It really
I
is.
just wrote a blog
Yeah, it really
post.
is.
No, guys, thanks to Joe. Joe kind of shamed me into WP Query. And so I wrote a blog post on that. So that's my next WordPress.
Ooh.
Yeah, I actually wrote down that I need to read that. Which website did you publish that at?
FromTheCentury.com.
Okay.
Wait, is
With
that
hyphens.
yours, Bill? That's your website?
Yeah.
Okay.
What happened?
I got bumped off all the chats missing. So this chat better be like somewhere I can get it, all those links and stuff. Like Cox Nicole said, I think I'm gonna like bump you off in the middle of Bill's explaining something right now.
Yay.
And so now I came back and there's like 2 chat messages in here.
Well, I've saved them.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so here's the good part. And I think I'm going to get rid of this other stuff. And I think I'm going to move you guys down there somewhere. I like you. Create database and database user, the most confusing thing you will ever do in your life. Who's done this and been confused?
Me.
Nobody's been confused by doing this?
Me, I did it in the class.
Every
I've never
time.
tried it before, so.
Every time?
File people, it's the content.
I always forget.
Right, that's why this is here, okay? And whether we're working through MAMP or working through some other application, or whether you're on a hosting account on a live cPanel, it works the same way,
Yeah.
okay? Here's a database, put in the name, I circled everything, highlighted everything, create, okay? Put in the password, add user account, okay? And it shows you all the steps, step by step, okay?
Nice.
Install WordPress, how you actually do that. Of course, you've probably done this even if you're using an automatic installerator. This is what you would normally go through. Success, Sparky, I love that. Push the site up to the web, duplicator or other. How to install it once you've moved the package up to your domain. You basically run the installer. And please always remember to get rid of the installer after you're done, because it is a liability. And then final steps, what to do if it doesn't work right. And this is the part that I think is kind of really important, because this has tripped me up like so many times.
Yeah.
Right? There are 2 things that can go wrong. One is the WP config file, which points to the database, and it might be pointing to the wrong database.
Or the wrong user and password.
Or the wrong user, right? And then the database options table, home and site URL might be pointing to the wrong place. So if you set up a site, let's say on one subdomain, and then you move it to, let's say, a different subdomain or a different live URL, then the home and site URLs are going to be different. And the database.
Takes care of that.
What's that?
Duplicator takes care of that for you, right?
Yeah, Duplicator and Duplicator Pro will take care of the domain switch.
Yeah. Hopefully.
So far, so good with the all-in-one. That's one of the main reasons why I use it, because the search and replace plugin and also a query in an SQL query doesn't really work effectively, because you were right. In the past, the uploads folder would be empty. I don't know if you've encountered that situation. That's annoying.
Oh, when you
yeah. That's why I use the migration plugin, because that's the only way around that.
No, I haven't had that problem. I have had problems with files being too big, and I couldn't figure out why.
You're in that. You've hit the free ceiling, and up above you is premium. So you've hit the freemium ceiling.
Premium ceiling.
Yeah.
No, you know what it was? I had a statistics program running, a web stat program that was no longer supported and it died. And so it left this orphan table with like 80 megabytes, like thousands of lines of data in it.
Wow.
It's like, it took me a while to figure out what was going on. And then I had to have the nerve to actually drop a table from the database, and then it worked.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, dropping table's scary.
That's right. Yeah, right. Can I really do this? I better make sure I'm doing the right thing. Anyway, that's all I had to say.
That was cool.
Well, thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks for
Oh,
sharing
you
this
guys
with
can
us.
also hit clap if you hit reactions on the bottom of your screen and hit the hand clapping.
Oh.
It's new. You got that, Joe Dickerson?
I thought I got one in there.
Okay.
Hey, so
I have to
Bill,
update my version.
Bill, and I'm going to toss this over to Jennifer. So, as a newbie wanting to learn this topic, how did Bill do? What do you want to learn next about a local development environment?
I think, like, I mean, I think it got explained well, and I think for my needs, like something like MAMP regular is going to work fine. I guess I think the next step is like, if I already created something online, and then how would I go, like if I wanted to just make a change to the page, you know, like would I import just that page or like import the whole database?
Okay.
And then how do I just upload that page change, or do you have to move the whole website on? And how does it affect SEO? Does it, you know, no? Doesn't
Okay,
affect.
so, do you want me to answer that?
Sure.
Yeah, you're the man.
Okay, there's front end and back end, basically. Or there's, I guess, on a website, the front end is what you see. The back end is the interface that lets you get into page and do editing. If you're talking about editing stuff at that level, like using the WordPress interface, then all you're really doing is changing content. So you don't need to have a development environment for that. So you wrote something, or there was a picture, or there was a video. I have a site that I need to update because I built it a few years ago, and it has a whole bunch of YouTube videos that are no longer up. So I need to replace those when I get around to it. So yeah, that's kind of what we call back-end work. Then you've got code developing, which is where you're building template files, adding special formatting and CSS. And that's something where you want to do it in the files. And that's where you want to do it in the local environment. So changes to content, you can do live on the site. It won't kill anything except for that particular page's content. Making changes to the structure, you want to do offline if you can.
Can I add something?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so CSS for me is more like clothing or changing your dress. The structure is like, I like to call it like, well, you can't change your skin, but so skin is the CSS. The structure, the bones, the skeleton is the stuff that you're going to really need to develop off-site. So if you're encouraged in WordPress to actually use the customizer for your CSS. Now, that could still make some weird things happen to your site while you're live. So then you're going to get a maintenance plugin where you can see what you're doing, and other people will say that the site's down for maintenance for like an hour or something. But if you're doing development, like creating custom post types, and they have their own templates, so that when someone, like for instance, adds a portfolio item and that template is called because it's all laid out, don't do that on the live site. You break it something. Okay, but the CSS stuff, you know, I encourage everyone to do CSS and learn it, because that's what you're always asking for. I want this to be blue, or can I make this section purple, or add more padding? And to be honest, the block editor can do so much inside your header and footer areas that you probably will use less CSS than you think too.
Yeah, good point, good point. Now, I like to, if I can, keep my CSS off in a separate style sheet, and that's why I use child themes. Because then I can use it again. And if I change themes, you know, if you change themes for a website, you lose the customizer. So,
yeah, and not only that, that customizer's all tight up, and it's weird. You can't really like see. It scrolls longer, and it's like buggy. So,
yeah,
so you can do what we just suggested too, because you can go into the theme editor and edit the CSS.
okay.
You'll get a warning that will yell at you that says, "Don't you know we have a customizer? What are you doing here?" I swear.
I know,
so,
right?
and you're like, I know, I'm a pro. Don't worry. And then you go
Yeah.
in, and if you're a real pro, the only thing you're touching is the style sheet. Don't touch any of those the other files. Those are the
Don't touch the PHP files on the live site.
Hey, Bill, so here's another question. You know, Alicia mentioned running into the freemium ceiling. Do you ever see an instance where you need to do MAMP Pro? Like, I've only used MAMP. I refuse to pay for Pro. In terms of what you showed us today, or what the next steps are for you, do you feel like you go to Pro, or have you ever gone to Pro, or what do you recommend for somebody getting started? Or where are they going to see that ceiling?
Well, I think that, you know, if you're maintaining one site, let's say, or one or a couple of sites, that the free version is just fine. If you do what I do, which is to throw up a site to try something real quick, and lots of times the sites die because we tend to do things which are not that legal, then I would say that you want to be able to work more quickly, and there are two ways to do that. The way I do it is with MAMP Pro. The way that grown-ups do it is with a command line.
So I can speak to that too. So I wanted to just, first of all, I wanted to invite Bill to a private Zoom at some point so that I can show you what I do, because I want you to see it so that you would know, like, maybe I should do another presentation, or I should compare the two. You can do like a whole nother thing. I feel that would be respectful, because you just did this whole thing, and it's amazing because I've been there. I did the map, and I did it way back before it looked cool.
Yeah.
So, you can do a cool thing with those exports for the duplicator and all-in-one import to save your sites and organize them on your desktop. Okay, so you can save those in folders, and then when you're ready to go again, like for instance, like, I don't know, desktop server allows you to have two free sites, and you can switch between the two at any time. Or three, actually allows you to have three. And to get around to the free version thing and its cap, I actually would have those three open, I guess,
accounts,
spaces, and you'd like import the export in when you needed it, and then just like do that. And so that's what I would do. And so, but where it becomes an issue is like what you were saying. It's like if you are going to take this on as something as a profession, you're going to definitely want that convenience of swapping through the sites. If you use the MAMP, you definitely want that convenience, because that's why I left MAMP, because I didn't want to do the Pro, and I had so many versions on my computer that it was broken completely. I didn't even know what was wrong with it, and so it was way back. And so then the desktop server just popped up into my view, and I was like, let me go try that. And then it's definitely a different experience, and it might have some drawbacks too. And that would be really interesting if I could share that with you, and you could see what it was, and you could say, okay, how does this compare to what you're doing? I will tell you one thing is what you're doing, the approach, you learn the guts of WordPress and how it's actually put up and how it's made.
Right, and that was for the sake of this presentation, I wanted to gear it to people who were not ready to make the commitment to spending the $80 or $90 for, well, MAMP Pro or the one you're using, the Pro version.
All right, and then the other one, yeah. So that's the thing. And so once you learn this, I think it's a great idea to kind of like maybe to use this MAMP for a while so you can understand, because when I think about it, I'm using the desktop server, but if I didn't know about the config file and the database and all that stuff first, it would
Yeah.
just be this magic going, phew, you know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna kind of encourage people to do at least 5 or 10 sites and stick with what he's doing here, and then check out the desktop server and see like, okay, now I'm ready, I can graduate. So
I absolutely agree. I think that people, especially when they're starting out, they need to go through this painful process until they really understand it, because then later on, if they have problems with the site,
yes,
they probably will have some insight into what's going on. And then whether you move into MAMP Pro or a Desktop Server Pro, I think the Pro versions.
Well, the desktop server, you get 3 sites, and the stuff, the convenience that you have with MAMP Pro is available in the free version of desktop server. So up to 3 sites.
Okay.
I was gonna add one thing too. The other sort of player in the room is Local by Flywheel.
I tried that.
I use that.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, and I was going to say it's sort of the cheating that you talked about. It does all the work on the back end. It has some nice features. I was actually going to try to present that in the next.
Well, why don't we do that? Like,
we should do a comparison. We should do a roundup. So that would be good.
We could have a fight about different versions of local hosting.
Brawl.
No, this is like the Elementor. What was the other one? Bakery thing you were doing? Elementor.
It was a 3-page build with Elementor, Divi, and Beaver Builder. So that's a great idea, because again, like when folks are starting, so many of them get used to working on the live server, which is the worst way to learn.
And people, they don't want to go through this because they're just like, you know what? I don't want to be a brainiac. I just need to get the site up so I can actually get to the WordPress part. And that's cool too. Maybe they want to just jump and get like Flywheel or desktop server. But I'm going to say learning fundamentals is very important.
I can all speak to that, because I actually started out by taking like a GA front-end web development class. So like trying to learn how to code, and it was like, are you freaking kidding me? Like I'm supposed to be like coding 16 hours a day between class. Like I had a job at the time. So it was like, it turned into this huge overview. And at the end of the class, when I was supposed to turn in my project, the guy was like, oh, well, you need a back end for what you want to do. So you need to use WordPress, you know? And so then I was like, oh my God, I was like jamming to learn WordPress. And then after that, I ended up coming across another class, which was Noble Desktop. And that was, you know, really to show you how to do, you know, front ends, like step-by-step, you know, CSS, JavaScript, you know, HTML. And in that class, they had a WordPress development class, which was basically went through all of the steps. Like we made our own front end files, and then we went through all the steps that Bill just did. And for me, like I couldn't go and repeat, like it was too hard for me to remember, because I wasn't doing it enough, how to get back in to create the site. So luckily I went to a WordPress help desk in New York, and somebody showed me Flywheel. So like Flywheel is just like great when you don't have time to like get back through all that. Like, oh my God, where did I put the files? What's the name? Like, how do I build which database did I connect it to? Like Flywheel is awesome. But I'm really happy that I watched this today, Bill, because at the time that I was doing this before, it was like, I didn't understand how WordPress worked from the easy side. I only knew how to like build it from the hard side. And so now it's like, oh, now I get it.
Well, this is pretty cool because I've used Flywheel, MAMP, and now desktop server. So, and I've gone through all 3 of those, and I have like, you know, my.
Which do you prefer?
Top.
Oh, that's interesting, because I know.
Flywheel was it used a lot of my memory to run it. The fan was going off on my computer. It was crazy. And then it just broke, and I lost 2 sites.
Wow. Oh, wow. I know. For me, at Metro, we've got budget this year, so we've done a hosting account with Anna, so have a staging environment, which I've never had before, to spin up a staging site. So that's going to be my next area of learning.
I've done that.
I started with MAMP. I did a little local by Flywheel, but I'm concerned about versioning and, you know, once you grow your team. So I want to do the official staging thing. So I think it's part of the progression that we all go through. Yeah. So it's kind of cool to see someone like, I haven't done all 3 like you. I haven't used desktop server, but it would be good to compare them and see what
Yeah,
best
yeah,
for everybody.
yeah.
I just wanted to add that on MAMP Pro, and this is probably true on the others as well, is there's a one-step one-click
Yep.
WordPress
That's what
installation.
Desktop Server does too.
But I wanted people to understand the background stuff, really the nuts and bolts, because I think it's so essential.
Yes, and yet
So,
he
yeah.
even did a shortcut because you didn't used to have the migrator plugins, so you would have to like zip the WP folder,
Right.
then you'd have to
FTP it.
export the database, then you'd have to do a search and replace query. Okay, you know.
Oh, right. I know. It
Oh.
was.
I know you sound like the person that said,
bad.
back in my day, we used to walk through the snow for 6 miles and up 2 hills.
Oh,
and down,
yeah.
across
I
the
remember
river.
back in the day of WordPress 4.3.
Hey, Joe, so what do you use? Have you been on all three, or what do you, in terms of the way you work, what do you prefer?
So at work, I'm using Windows 10, and it's my work PC. So I don't want to mess with the localhost environment. So I use Desktop Server, and the nice thing about their model with the Desktop Server, I guess they call it Pro or whatever the paid version is.
Yeah, I have the paid.
That it includes customer support. So if you run into an issue with Desktop Server itself, you get forum support out of that. Now you get that with the free version too, but it's kind of tiered. So if you send a support ticket in, like Greg Franklin and a few of the other guys that work there will like answer it really quick.
I was going to say, I thought you were going to say, I just go up the street to Greg's house and knock on the door.
Yeah, no, this is even faster because then that way I don't have to drive from Claremont to Chino.
Okay.
But at home, I'm using LAMP Stack, which because I host my websites on like usually Linux-based hosts, and I've broken it so many times that doing it on a LAMP localhost has taught me how to fix the things that will most frequently break. It's also nice too because Alicia mentioned back in the old days when we would have to like download the database and the WP files and zip it all together into an archive. Yeah, no, you have to do that in LAMP too. So what Bill was going over and some of the Desktop Server stuff and all the different features, everything's always mixed and matched, and there's like a bunch of different ways to do everything.
Yeah.
So it's good to learn a little bit about everything. It's nice using something like Local by Flywheel or Desktop Server if you're using it on like a shared PC or something. You know what I mean? So you kind of sandbox these things.
I had to use the Local by Flywheel because like Desktop Server had the dark period. You remember that? They had it like we went into like PHP 7 and they didn't. And it was a long time, and I was like, "Oh my God, they're not doing it." I was really distraught.
Yeah, they ran into that issue, and then they also had the .dev domain got tricky because Google, I think, owns that domain extension, and they had to make HTTPS work on the local host. So, like one of my friends, Josh Knapp, over at the IEWP meetup, he actually wrote like programs to fix that for them. And
okay, that's why it's dev.cc now.
That's why it's dev.cc now, but he also fixed that whole security thing so people wouldn't get that annoying warning message. And so
talk at a WordCamp too, as they recovered from that, and they were so transparent about it and how they were just like so terrified kind of that they didn't say anything to anybody. We're all in the dark. We're like, where did you guys go? And they're like, they could have done it differently. But now it's just an amazing piece of software. It really is. And you can run into them everywhere, almost every WordCamp.
My guess is they probably thought they could fix it super quick because that's usually what happens to me too. I'm like, if I think I could fix it really quick, I'm not going to email the 250 people at work that I just took the website down. You know what I mean? Because like only 2 of them would have noticed up until that point.
Yeah, and so Kara, what do you use?
For building sites?
Yeah, in terms of your local development environment.
Oh my goodness. I'll be honest, guys. I haven't built a WordPress site in a very long time. But if I do, I just put it on my computer because it's usually me just messing around, just looking at things and trying to figure
What
it
are you
out.
using, though? Do you use MAMP or something? Or do you rolling your own? What are you doing?
I don't remember.
I know. I'm
It's
sorry to
been a
put you
very
on.
long time.
I'm sorry to put you on the spot. I saw you shaking your head when they were making some comments, so I thought you wanted to jump in with something.
Oh, sorry. No, I'm listening and working at the same time, so I was shaking my head at something else. I'm sorry, guys. I was looking at something else like, why would you do this? Sorry. Apologies.
Oh, no problem. So you're shaking the proverbial virtual finger at somebody.
Yeah. I'm cleaning up a website right now, and I just looked at something that people did, and I was like,
oh, shake heads.
See, that's my biggest fear right there, is having a friend who knows me have to clean up my work 6 months or a year from now.
Good reason not to have friends. Oh, great.
Well, Bill, that was a great presentation. That was very awesome.
Well, thank you guys, and thank you for the opportunity.
What I thought was really special about it is that you told us what we were going to learn, and then you did it, and you kind of came back at the end and went through it again. It's helpful to do that.
Oh, that's a good way to actually, when you're writing presentations, write your basically what we're going to learn slide, what the agenda is at the beginning, and then make another copy of that and put it at the end.
Yeah.
And then you'll change it a little bit, of course. You say, okay, we're going to learn, how to do this. And then, oh, look, we learned how to ride a bicycle. We're going to learn how to ride a bicycle without falling. Oh, look, we learned how to ride a bicycle without falling, ? Yeah, right? So you can tie it back in. But thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You're great. You're a great member of this community, and I appreciate all you do. All right. Before we sign off, did anyone else have any questions for Bill regarding his presentation or anything in general?
Yeah.
All right. Oh, go ahead. So I've got your information in the chat. If you gave me some shirt sizes, we're going to get some shirts out.
I have to give it a couple weeks. The other one. Somebody said they run small. Whose shirt runs small? Someone wrote that the woman's shirt runs small. There was.
It was the Green Geeks shirt.
It was Trey. He said that the small, they run short, a little short. So if you're like a medium, maybe get a large.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think the women's Green Geeks shirts are more form-fitting than the men's shirts. I think that's what he was getting.
They are.
Yeah, they should be. I hate wearing that shirt.
I think he was just trying to be politically correct and say it. So
where do we put our sizes in? Sorry, I missed that.
You can just put it in the chat, and like
okay, cool.
we're gonna try to send out a Green Geek shirt as well as one of our WordCamp shirts to all the speakers, as well as folks that put their size in this meeting. So.
Okay, so I'm a speaker already. So I guess mine would be like medium for the WordCamp one and a large for the Green Geek one. Does that sound right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's totally.
And then if not, we'll make sure we get another because you're local. Just like how Joe was going over to Greg's house about desktop server, you could just stop by and I'll give you another.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we go to Magic Mountain.
Yeah.
If we can.
All right. Well, we're gonna meet again. We're doing a makeup for our missed April meetup, so we're gonna meet again in a couple weeks on the 23rd. So that could be an opportunity for us to talk about the local development, the other tools that are possible, as well as we're just gonna do a basic overview of some hosting things, which I usually start off with. So that'll be going up today. Oh, go ahead.
This Wednesday is the WordPress meetup in Santa Barbara.
Awesome.
Online.
And then if you could share the link, I'll put it on the meetup page, or you could share it on the meetup
put
page.
it in there. You should get it.
I know Joe shared the Inland Empire meetup. I know Sean mentioned so this week is just full of WordPress stuff, but the difference is you'll be able to do your stuff during the week and you could still come to ours on the weekend.
No commuting.
Yay.
Yeah, because generally when we're at the library, they kick us out. So we could just keep going when we're online like this.
I know, right?
Or do what we do and just talk in the parking lot and make everyone hear
God.
it in the middle of the night in downtown Riverside.
I know. I think I know Jennifer mentioned her new meetup, and I think that's how it started. Like we were finishing up our meetup, and then Jennifer they were talking accessibility in the parking lot for like 3 hours. So. Awesome. But I wanted to personally thank Sumner for providing her Zoom link for today's meetup.
Yay!
Yay!
Thank you.
She's such a talented speaker, and now she's doing the organizing thing. She's pretty awesome. Thanks, Sumner, for being so awesome.
Well, thanks for everybody for showing up, because, you know, I have this Zoom account and it's sitting here waiting for somebody to use it, and I'm certainly not going to use it every day. So I am so glad that you took me up on my offer.
Awesome. Good. Well, go ahead, Joe.
Oh, no, I just said cool. Sorry.
Oh, awesome.
I'm done.
All right. Thanks everybody for coming. And now, Richard, where are you at now? Are you under the sea?
Wait, who? Oh,
Ice
Tara?
Cave.
Him. Rich?
Yes, now he's scuba diving, it appears.
No, it's an ice cave.
Oh, yep.
When he started,
ice cave.
He was in a spaceship. Now he's under the water. Awesome. And thanks again, Anna, for stopping in. You and Trey from Green Geeks. You guys are awesome. Thanks so much for everything. Thanks for coming on. All right. So have a great weekend. We'll see you in a couple weeks, and we'll see you at your meetups next week.
All right.
Cool. See you guys later.
Thank you. It was fun.
Bye.
was
Thank you so much.
Bye.